Hello, I'm Ethan Chase, and a New York City-based small business growth coach. And what I really want to do today is share with you some insight into what's going on in the tech sector with regard to jobs, the Trump tariff and trade wars, and impact on the tech sector layoffs. Why tech sector? It is a bellwether industry within the U.S. economy and job market. And what we're seeing right now, as we talk about the widespread adoption of generative AI, the replacement of human capital, the replacement of workers with this advanced technology. So I want to dive in. We're going to go back to February 2025, and we're going to take a look throughout what's been going on in the sector to date. So going to Red 25, looking at the current landscape of the US tech job market, it's really important. So whether you're an employer looking to continue to source top talent, or you're a professional navigating that sector of the US job market, Red Global is passionate about making connections between labor, employees, and the workforce. So DICE 2025 Tech Salary Report monthly candidate metrics are useful for some important insights. So we're looking at job postings, right? Going back to February, over 7 million tech job postings have been noticed, recorded, which is a 33% increase over January of 2025 and a 16% increase over same period, February 2024. The question that begs asking, though, and we'll get to this a little bit later, how realistic are those jobs? Are those bona fide job opportunities or some kind of nefarious, unethical behaviors of employers? We'll get to that. So where are the leading states that are creating these jobs in the tech sector? Illinois, California, Georgia are top states. It's important to know where the jobs are. This for job seekers. And the top metropolitan statistical areas, the San Jose metro area in California, San Francisco for sure, with a lot of AI startups, sprouting from the San Francisco area, and Chicago metro area. So you have Silicon Alley in New York, Silicon Valley in Palo Alto, and Silicon Prairie out in the Midwest. What are the in-demand jobs that are being created by this new emerging AI technology? Software engineers continues to be a highly sought after job. Electrical engineers, which is experiencing a surge when you talk about companies like NVIDIA who are killing it in semi-circuits and chip production, and business analysts, those people who enable organizations to make more strategic decision-making with greater confidence. So that's where the jobs are. What are the aspects of the tech sector? Well, AI. This shouldn't surprise anybody. Tech sector is experiencing 26% of jobs requiring AI expertise. That's a 98% increase 2025 over 2024. And overall, technical proficiency skills, things like computer-aided design have grown by 155%. Business software proficiency up 133%. So not only data analytics and data gathering aggregation, but also data interpretation from a software perspective. So you're getting data, which is in effect meaningless until you have the ability to synthesize it and convert it into information that can be acted on, right? Soft skills. Believe it or not, there is a parallel increase in soft, non-technical skills that are rising up in the tech sector, along with technical proficiency skills. Those soft skills are things like trustworthiness, has seen a 253% year-over-year rise from this year to last year. Operational efficiency is up 232%, and scalability design up by 197%. Why? This makes perfect sense. You're leveraging technology and things like AI to get you to a certain desirable end state. You need more information to make more informed decision making that enables you to operate more efficiently, and might I add, ethically, which always seems to be a challenge for the tech space. I'm going to allude to why I say that later on. So 47%, this is going back to February. So obviously the middle of the first quarter is different than where we are right now on August 27th as we head into the end of the third quarter. But this is a trend, and that's what I want to kind of share today. Job seekers going back to February in the tech sector, 47% of tech professionals were actively pursuing new roles, which was a jump of 29% over last year. So people with tech proficiency skills are looking to be compensated for these in-demand technical skill sets. The average tech salary has climbed to, earlier this year, $112,000. In 2024, an average daily pay rate of $680. This depends on certain characteristics like level of experience, geographic location, the industry that you're applying your tech skills in. But in all, in aggregate, the average salary for a technical skills professional is $112,000. At least it was Q1 2025. So what does this directionally tell you as an employer in this tech space? You've got to offer competitive packages to top skill employees. People are staying for the compensation and the benefits for you to continue to retain top talent. You've got to invest in developing your people. It's not enough for Gen Zs and millennials to be compensated well. They also want to be nurtured, developed, coached, mentored, rewarded, recognized. All of those other things that come to not just here's the money, now go work. You also have to, as an organization and a preferred employer, prioritize in-demand skills. What are the roles requiring AI and other high-demand skills, and how do you, if necessary, re-architect your roles in your organization to embrace this advanced additional skill technology? So these are the things that, at a minimum, your organization should be doing. So let's continue this conversation. We're going to leap forward from February to early April, the tech job market and future growth. We're looking at the trend line in the tech space in 2025, as we're sitting on August 27th, going back to move forward to what are the trends that we can identify as you as an employer or a professional move forward. So I want to give acknowledgement to Sarah Lee, who wrote this article on behalf of Number Analytics. We're going to look at the tech space. The tech sector continues to be one of the most dynamic, rapidly evolving industries. That's why I want to focus on that, as I said, a bellwether sector, to take a look at a snapshot of how the US job market is faring, especially in light of what the Trump administration's been doing that has or has not impacted jobs and growth since they came into office in January. As digital transformation continues to accelerate across all business sectors, understanding how the trajectory of the tech market becomes increasingly critical, not just for tech professionals, but for the organizations that I coach and consult with, educational institutions to revamp course offerings and continuing professional education, and policymakers at a federal and state level. We know what the federal government is doing. We've seen how they're eviscerating jobs in the federal government in terms of DE&I and other social service agencies, and tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people being phased out of work for the government. So we're taking a look at this comprehensive analysis of the job market from the lens of the tech sector, because I really want to focus on emerging trends and technologies like specifically AI. Why? Because in my consulting practice, I hear constantly about the fear of how to leverage this technology to take advantage of people who know how to use these skills, and maybe how to focus on reducing labor costs to take advantage of this advanced technology. So according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and oh, guess what? Trumpy just fired the head of the BLS, but don't need any experts in the federal government. Take a look at what's been going on in other agencies. But the BLS, they're under attack because Trump and his acolytes and his sycophants do not like the news coming out. So they just question the news, call it fake news, and go after with lawsuits those people who are sharing the news. So let's go back to the results of a BLS study. Technology occupations are projected to grow 13% in the decade 2020 to 2030, which outpaces all averages of other industry sectors. That's why I want to focus on the tech sector today. This decades-long 13% growth correlates with 667 net new jobs, making tech one of the most promising career paths in the coming decade. However, beneath these overarching promising statistics is an incredibly complicated, complex landscape, which requires an ever-evolving set of skills, lifelong learning, critical thinking, intrinsic motivation for employees, but it's also going to disrupt industries. We're seeing it right now. Shifting market dynamics that demand your business navigate with depth, clarity, strategic focus, and a willingness to adapt and change, dealing with these internal and external considerations. I'm not going to go into the context of historical jobs, but I'm going to put a link to all of these resources I mentioned today so you can dive in and do your own deep digging. I'm giving you a top line understanding. So what's the vibe in the US tech sector? Going back to the end of April, and this article by Jack Kelly in Forbes. The US tech sector is contending with a combination of innovation with jobs instability. So here's this new tool, AI. It's being widely adopted and embraced and used from startups to multinational corporations, not-for-profits, doesn't matter, everywhere, is realizing and leveraging the phenomenal potential of AI. But with that advanced technology, as in any point in our nation's business and industry climate, with incredible advances in technological innovation, comes with jobs insecurity. They go in hand like peanut butter and chocolate, or peanut butter and bananas. Peanut butter and jelly, you get the analogy. So the vibe in the tech space is resiliency, but anxiety. Kind of like overarching concerns that all the people I talk to in the business sector, chaos, uncertainty, fear, unwillingness to embrace risk, cutting back from expenditures, literally burying your head in the sand. With great challenge and uncertainty comes great opportunity for those brave enough to embrace them, not run from them. So people in the tech space, a US News survey shows that 80% of tech workers are relatively satisfied. This going back to the end of April, which is the beginning of the second quarter, okay? The people in the tech sector cite high compensation. I said before, average pay 112,000. But when you look at Twitter, I mean X. When you look at X, people are saying that there's growing pessimism in job prospects in the tech sector. 65% of tech workers surveyed by The Information were expecting worse conditions, which I'm going to talk to where we are today in August, so we'll get there, which this anxiety and uncertainty and fear going back to April was predicated on layoffs and companies of all sizes and stages of their organic life cycle who are pulling back, reducing their hiring because of uncertainty. We also see those two things go hand in hand. When you're not sure about what the business landscape may present to you as far as threats and opportunities, what do? You curtail what you perceive to be your greatest expense, payroll, not realizing that now when everybody's pulling back is when you should be investing in the same way when other people are not spending their ad dollars or reducing their marketing. That gives you a greater opportunity to have your voice even more heard. So go against the tide, go against those lemmings going downstream or going off cliff. You want to go counter what the prevailing mindset is. So tech sector, end of April, when this article was written in Forbes, saying that firms were concerned with hiring. So drawing on data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Forbes, and Layoffs.fyi, and also the executive search firm Robert Half, when you look at the aggregate data that comes from that in the tech sector, along with putting a finger on the pulse of sentiment on Twitter, on X, there's a snapshot of the prevailing mindset that existed in the second quarter that has just shifted and progressed getting to today, August 27th. The Bureau of Labor Statistics projected 356,700 tech job openings through 2033, which signaled jobs growth, specifically or especially in the AI and fintech space. So this, according to Cornell University research, Cornell University computer science graduates, those jobs projections of growth in AI and fintech were up 16% to what we witnessed at the end of COVID in 2022, which, by the way, is when my daughter graduated from Cornell. So who are the companies who are in demand? More so than any other company right now, it's NVIDIA. They are the darlings of Wall Street. NVIDIA is head and shoulders above anybody else in the chip production space, chips for AI technology. But then there's the tried and true tech giants, Google, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Salesforce, Adobe, and Netflix. Why? Because those tech firms exhibit constant innovation, competitive compensation, and they have a supportive workplace culture, which, if you know me, and you've looked at my 625 videos on my YouTube channel, I'm always talking about the need to create an amazing workplace culture as a competitive advantage for your company to recruit and retain top talent. When you look at Forbes list 2024 best employers for tech workers based on 25,000 employees surveyed, Oracle and Amazon has mentorship programs that are well documented and has exceptional brand reputational recognition. These firms also offer even above average tech compensation, pay range 142 to 210,000 per position, with generous bonuses and stock options. So companies with great culture who are in an innovative state and putting in a driving force in the AI space, they are able to outperform their direct competitors in terms of accessing top talent, recruiting, retaining, and developing people internally if you want to stay with them. So, Robert Half, the search firm, 2025 salary guide notes that only 41% of tech workers are satisfied. Here's the canaries in the tech sector coal mine as a harbinger or good or bad omens or tidings coming to the US job market for the second half and the end of 2025 and beyond. A DICE report shows that 47% of tech workers are actively seeking new roles, driven by people saying they're undercompensated and there's no flexibility in work or not enough flexibility in terms of where they work from, when they work, how they get the work done, and who they work with. That's called autonomy, as Daniel Pink talked about in his seminal book, Drive. So layoffs make job searches even tougher. Still, over 7 million job postings for the tech sector are in 2025. That's a 33% increase, according to DICE, over last year. But my question is, are all of or even most of these jobs that are being advertised actual jobs? Or is there something more nefarious and unethical going on? I'll let you be the ultimate judge of that. But there are questions about the veracity of firms posting jobs. So the most sought after jobs in the tech sector, as noted before, is for AI engineers, cloud architects, and cybersecurity analysts. I talk to some of my cyber clients a lot about challenges they face getting the right blend of people who have the technology expertise, that technical proficiency, but also the ability to serve in account management roles, work directly with clients, because if they have the tech skills, they may be lacking in the empathy, emotional intelligence, effective communication, proverbial soft skills. AI engineers who know how to use Python and TensorFlow earn 150 to 300,000 per annum plus bonuses, according to Glassdoor. So I'm not going to talk anymore about job availability, but we'll go into some other aspects. So we're seeing that the tech sector is in a hyper transformative state. Jobs growth created in certain pockets, in the aggregate, across the entire space, it's very questionable. And there's some disconcerting underpinnings or a riptide that's coming across apparently the calm waters. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the hiring outlook in 2025 as we get to the end of the third and fourth quarter. For the first time in a marathon of mass layoffs, pandemic adjustments, COVID 2019, remember that, AI-driven disruptions, and the US and Trump administration's resumption of tariff negotiations, trade wars, going after other trading partners as enemies, seemingly day in and day out, the US tech jobs market is no longer on fire, but it's not freezing. Lukewarm might be the general consensus. What we're seeing is what's referred to as a strategic recalibration. Companies aren't pushing their employees to seemingly universal frustration, like back in 2021, when they were scrambling to catch up immediately after COVID, nor are they sending thousands, if not tens of thousands of employees every week into crisis mode like they were in 2023. Instead, the tech industry job market is more agile or adaptive to this new technology that it's embracing, targeted, meaning they're going after selective sectors, selective applications of the technology, selective skill sets, selective candidates. There's a recalibration of strategic focus with ruthless efficiency, meaning very little concern for employees and the state of tenure, employment, and that anybody, if ever before this was true, it's especially true now, anybody from CEO, like Brian Cornell at Target, which I just did a video on, and him being phased out, all the way down to frontline client-facing staff. Compared to the unpredictable volatility of 2023, 2025 marks more intentional, although an unforgiving pace in hiring. The shift in balance of power has changed. Companies that are good at hiring with AI and strategic decision-making have unprecedented access to to individuals previously who were trapped in big tech. The notable winners are companies like NVIDIA, Oracle, Microsoft, Google, Netflix. Why? Because they're innovative. They're always thinking about the relationship between amazing employees, empowering employees with great place to work, amazing workplace culture, and allowing them to have the autonomy to use their expertise to achieve business and team goals. Talented candidates, I want to read this to you. Talented candidates are switching gears early. So you're seeing employees who come on, stay with you for 3, 4, 6 months, they'll leave. And it's not just Gen Zs. In fact, that is a gross simplification and stereotype based on generational characteristics. While these people who are talented are more willing to move between organizations, there's a need for reskilling, upskilling, specialization, and moving into high-speed fields like AI security, cloud automation, fintech infrastructure, and digital health. That's where the growth, the innovation, the jobs, and the market opportunities are most pronounced to leverage this new generative AI technology. So how is the tech market right now? Right at this point, it's maturing, it's evolving, it's transforming. And that's critically important for both parties, for job seekers and employers, to understand these new rules of engagement with this new exciting technology. We may be in the most seminal moment of the last decade in terms of decisions about hiring, retaining, developing highly proficient, technologically advanced candidates. So you have to look back to look at where you are with logic and intent to see where you're going to go. So tech layoffs going back from 2023 to present. The tech industry job market experienced significant personnel decline. Over 264,000 tech employees were laid off just in 2023 worldwide, with over 95,000 layoffs of tech professionals in the US alone. Through early 2025, so going back to April timeframe, which we started at, over 26,000 additional tech market jobs were cut in the US. 26,000. So what does that tell us? There is a pronounced transformation and reorganization, restructuring of the tech sector, which we look at as a very powerful indicator of the job market in the US as a whole. Layoffs are increasingly focused and no longer reflect panic-driven mass cuts. Instead, in its place, they're part of organizations who are transforming, who are rebalancing, they're revisiting their strategies in order to adapt and thrive in a business environment in which AI-driven productivity models reign supreme. That's really important to take away. So what is AI doing to impact the job market? Well, the impact is already here. But interestingly enough, and I want to go into this article by Hugh Son, who's on the staff at CNBC, he raises some key points about the Goldman Sachs job market data, research findings, and impact on the tech sector and individuals. So what are the key points, the takeaways? Changes to the American labor market brought on by the arrival of generative AI are already showing up in the BLS employment data, according to this Goldman Sachs assessment. There are signs of a hiring pullback in the tech sector, which we talked about, hitting younger employees the hardest, according to this researcher, Joseph Briggs at Goldman Sachs. So the prevailing and false narrative is younger people, more adept at technological innovation and learning. They're the ones who are going after the computer science and the programming skills. So these new tech-driven job opportunities are opening up for recent college graduates and Gen Zs in general. And that's a gross simplification and misunderstanding when you look at the actual jobs data. Unemployment rates among the tech sector for individuals 20 to 30 years old jumped 3 percentage points since the beginning of 2025. That's huge. That is incredibly powerful stuff. Okay? Changes to the American labor market that are evolving, that were brought on and are continuing to happen as we speak because of generative AI. We see this in the data. Now we know, I know, you know, every conversation seemingly I have with startups, entrepreneurs, founders, established firms, multinational corporations, doesn't matter. Most companies have yet to fully unleash the awesome power of artificial intelligence in their productivity, their performance. Meaning, really importantly here, the overall job market has not seen yet, but it will, the awesome force of AI with respect to job impact. We haven't seen nearly the impact that we're going to see, and we're going to see this as we move into September, October, November, when data is aggregated into the macro level, into the composite US economy. We will see the impact. There are already signs of hiring pullback. We see this in the tech sector. It's hitting younger people the hardest. If you look at the tech sector's employment trends, They've basically been growing as a share of overall employment in a pretty linear fashion, right? For the last 20 years, Joseph Briggs of Goldman said, for younger tech sector professionals. Over the last 3 years, 2022 to 2025, we're actually seeing a pullback or a reduction in tech hiring. So when you go back to November of 2022, so 3 years ago, OpenAI's ChatGPT has fueled the rise of the world's most valuable company, NVIDIA. Remember when it used to be Apple? No way, not anymore. And this generative AI adoption has forced entire industries to deal with the implications of embracing this new technology. Generative AI models are quickly becoming adept at handling many routine tasks, leading to jobs reduction, layoffs. And some experts say that they're already on par with human software engineers. So AI replacing software engineers. How many months will it take for jobs growth in that particular job function, software engineers, to be noted in BLS data at a federal macro level? It's going to be months, not years. That's the point. That has sparked concerns. I hear them myself in my consulting practice all the time. These concerns that while automation is going to make companies more productive and enrich shareholders' personal net worth, many in the job market are going to be impacted adversely. How many times do we see this with the advent and adoption of advanced technology? Technology leveraged to increase performance, productivity, and yes, profitability that leads to the reduction in jobs because of the wide-scale adoption of automation allows typically human capital, human-driven work to be replaced. We talked about this many years ago, if you remember, when we talked about biometrics, robotics, machine learning. We talked about this. This is not new. Just generative AI and the awesome power is exponentially increasing the concern and impact on jobs. Young tech workers whose jobs are the easiest to automate are the first concrete signs of AI's massive